have a plan to help in addressing this question of poverty?
Well, eventually, I think we know that educational empowerment can lead to social change in a way that would help alleviate poverty down the line, we are hoping. We feel that, there are significant disadvantage Muslims have because of the fact that they are not encouraged to get education. There are 1.6 billion Muslims in the world who represent 1/4 of the humanity, yet we produce only 8.5% of the global GDP. And part of the reason is lack of education. I think and the lack of education, especially in sciences and technology. And according to the UN and World Economic Forum, the disparity is due to gender inequality. Even though Islamic teachings support gender symmetry and equality of all people. So we feel that when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So I think it's a slow process, and by educating women who would get into these technological fields, I think hopefully they will educate their children. Educated women will have less children. I think there's enough data showing that women, when they are educated, they will produce less children. So in the long run, once we control the population, I think that would help. But as far as the fund is concerned, our focus is empowerment. But we are collaborating with world philanthropists to see how we can develop partnership with other organizations to promote our efforts and promote philanthropy at the same time. Because you don't want to, poverty alleviation cannot be done just by feeding the person. We need to teach them how to fish. We don't just give them fish to eat, but we teach them how to fish. So I think that's most important. And that's how we think that we need to move forward. The fund is new. We have, at the moment, limited resources, but we are in the active fundraising mode. And we would look forward to collaborating with philanthropists who are interested in promoting our projects, which are available on the website at the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, who are our fiscal agents. We believe that education is the key to our progress in the Muslim world.
Yes, and there's also a problem of policy. Like there are special issues affecting women, which may hinder their education. Like what happens to a woman who is in school and she gives birth? How is she supported to continue her education after maybe she might have weaned the child?
Right.
How do you intend addressing such issues?
Well, that's an issue which I don't think Muslim Women Fund is equipped at this point to handle. I think these are policy decisions, and they have to be handled at the local level instead of a fund addressing this.
What I mean is, do you have a plan of maybe sensitizing the policymakers like you are sensitizing the men?
Yes.
Sensitizing the policymakers to make female-friendly policies. Like
absolutely. We are actively in engagement with in the United States at the State Department and USAID, and Nadia has been in contact with Milan Verveer, who's the global representative to
Global Ambassador for Women's Issues.
Issues. So I think people in the United States are very, very sensitive to this. So that's why they are promoting all these efforts. But I think in individual countries, people have to take up the causes. I think as far as parents, teachers, policymakers, politicians, they all have to come together to discuss these issues, how to best solve these problems at the local levels.
They have to recognize them as issues first.
Yeah.
We can't come in and say this is wrong. Part of the work that we're doing and part of what's so relevant about the 3 projects, our 3 pilot projects, is that we're not coming in and saying what you're doing is wrong, what you're doing is un-Islamic. These are issues that people at the local level have realized themselves. And so we're working together, in some cases with 2 other partners, to create a solution for the betterment of women and girls. And a lot of the issues that we're seeing, people don't understand that they're not steeped in Islam. They see them, they're issues of culture trumping faith. But people that do not have the exposure assume, for example, female genital mutilation. It's perceived in Egypt, in some parts of Egypt, that this is an Islamic practice. Where in reality, what we're learning and what many others in development know is that this is a cultural practice, and it's not patriarchy, which is what one might think. Rather, it's matriarchy. It's almost a rite of passage that mothers and grandmothers may have experienced and feel that it's their daughter's rite of passage. But we're working with the project in Egypt actually looks at this issue from a very holistic perspective. And it gets all of the players that are engaged in this practice and brings them to the table, helps them understand why this is harmful for girls, not only now, but 10 years from now. And it helps them buy into this, helps them understand that this is not steeped in faith. So the barber and the midwife that are active participants in this, they're incented economically to support this practice. The barber and the midwives, I don't remember the statistics in front of me, but I believe it's something like 160 to 220 of these practices they do a year. So when you come in and you say you shouldn't be doing this, think of the lost income that they'll experience. So part of this project, what we found so appealing was that it found a way to help them understand that this practice wasn't necessarily healthy, nor was it steeped in Islam. And then it gave them a way to supplement lost income so that they would then find ways to scale up their own businesses so that when they became ambassadors of not condoning this practice, they had other means of income, so economically they weren't hurt. That's very important. And so that's one key thing that we look at when we're looking at these in our early days of development, that there's solutions at the local level that benefit everyone.